Let's see if it populates. I am like astonished at Creek Squad. I'm astonished at all of this. I'm learning. I'm learning how inept the younger generation is going to be at handling society in the real world. And I found all of that out in the last couple hours. I am flabbergasted at the people going to attack Ryan Upchurch right now. Based on nothing. Based on absolutely nothing. So Heavy Duty Country was like signed a contract for a producer, paid a producer to produce like 5 songs. He can only come up with 4. He signed the contract. He wanted to do this. He may have been inspired by Upchurch, which is fine. That's great. But somehow in his grown-ass adult signing a contract, he somehow inferred that Ryan would actually help him complete the production of the songs. No. Unhealthy expectation. He had an unrealistic perspective of what he thought Ryan was going to help him do. It was he that signed the contract. It was his responsibility to maintain the contract and to fulfill the contract. So all he needed to do, because he can't make him look right in this scenario, because he is legally wrong. If he goes to court, the judge will laugh at him and say, "Sir, that's your contract. You signed it. You're responsible. You need to shut up and leave this man alone. You're harassing him." That's kind of what would go down in court if that occurred. So he can't legally make Ryan look bad because Ryan legally was not obligated to do this for him. So what does he do? He creates a cloud of confusion using all the key phrases that society loves to squabble about right now. All he needed to do was to bring up Black Lives Matter, racial issues, and then possible child abuse or sexual abuse. And people just lost their ever-loving shit. Why? So people are like, I have questions, I have concerns about who Ryan is and the music he creates now. Why? What changed from yesterday when you loved the new album? Well, I didn't know that this man said these horrible things. That man said those horrible things. A lot of people say a lot of horrible things. Do you have proof that what that man said is true? Well, no. Okay. Does he have any criminal charges pending based on the things he said? No. Does he have any criminal convictions based on the things he said? No. So can you say that he is, beyond a shadow of a doubt, an abusive man that did this horrible thing he spoke of? No. Well, then why are you going at Ryan Upchurch with a punitive mindset to punish him and make him think he needs to kowtow, do better research to satisfy you, the fan, who probably didn't even buy his album, because you think what that man may have said during the interview might have been factual, even though there's no proof, there's no criminal charges based on what he said, and no one else has ever addressed it. Could it have been an ego-ridden rap mogul saying the most shocking, hellacious thing he could to look like the biggest man on the block because that's how bravado and testosterone comes across? Yeah, most likely. If you think it's true, then you need to be doing some research so that you can contact the authorities and give them this information. Oh, I'm sorry, you don't think that's your place? Oh, but it's your place to go online and attack the other artist for sharing the musical talents of this man, because he should have known every word this man ever uttered in his life and not given a platform to a man that would have said those things. I'm sorry, that was a platform? I thought it was a feature. I'm sorry, I thought the only thing being displayed was his musical talents. Why are we so upset about this? Why are we putting the burden on Ryan? If that man did that, that's on him. Well, Ryan should have known. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Let me tap into everyone else's brain, all 350 plus million, so that I know everything everyone has ever said, so that I don't make a business arrangement or like the talents or skills of someone that may have done heinous things that I don't know about. Unrealistic expectations. Unrealistic expectations. Do you want to know why you're not holding the artist that said those things accountable? Because you know you can't reach him. You know that you can't alter his world. You know that you can't affect him. But you can take your little hurt honey in and your belief that what he said was true, because if it's true, you better be heard. Because those things are wrong and horrible, and you should be heard, and you need to go and point your finger at people that may support people like that and say, you're a horrible person. Really? Okay, this is called adulting. Thank you. Thank you. That's exactly what I'm saying. This is called adulting. In the adult world, especially a couple of decades ago, before the internet really blew up big and everybody had a channel, you would go months and not hear anything from your favorite artist. You would go years sometimes before you got an interview. You don't know what they may have said. You don't know why they may have said it. You don't know what may have prompted the interview or prompted the statement they gave, however crass or nasty it may have been. You just didn't know. These days, everything's so accessible, you think you should know everything about everybody and that you have the most, factual view on everyone. The vibe you get is true. You know everything. That's not how it went down back in the day. So this guy has been, how many decades has he been an artist? God knows what the man has said. If you think what he said is true and that he really did that, then you need to be doing some investigating to call some authorities and say, hey, there's no statute of limitations on that crap. This man may have abused his children. You may need to look at this interview and go after him. You know what the cops are going to say? We have no evidence, and that's not enough to go on. He could have said anything during that interview, just to shock and awe. We have nothing to go on. But you're going to go to Ryan Upchurch and be like, how dare you? I have questions and concerns. Welcome to the world where you have to function. We have questions and concerns all the time. So it's like, yeah, why are they not going after Boozy? Why are you not going to research and investigate that man and call the authorities and stick the authorities on him? Because you can't touch him. You can't alter his world. You can't affect him. But because Ron is very open with his fans and communicates, you know that you can take your little hurt honey and your righteous indignation and you can say, how horrible are you? You better do an FBI big back dive on everybody from now on, and you better know that they have a clean heart and soul before Jesus, or I'm not going to listen to your music ever again. Unrealistic expectations. I'm trying to really help you all, because you all get triggered over the most stupid and asinine things. You think that you have control over things that you do not have control over. Do you want to know when they told me about that interview what I said? Well, them rap stars said some really big shit back in the day, didn't they? And they did. They said a whole bunch of crap that you could not say in today's climate. Not at all. But you want to know what else I said? Well, if he really said that and it gets out and it's true, his honey will have some charges here sometime, because there's no statute of limitations on that crap. You know what the next thing I said was? And if he just said it for bravado and just, shock and awe, I guess he did his job however many years it took to happen. I question if it's, if it actually, it's just, if you know how they used to act back in the day, you just know they would have said anything. it did not make me question Ryan at all, because Ryan featured that artist on his song because he wanted the musicality that artist represented to be present in that song. He didn't allow that man to write his life's goals and put them in the song. He didn't allow that man to be the Pied Piper for children's abuse and put it in the song. He allowed him to do a feature which was very controlled by Ryan, and that was it. Ryan didn't go buy him a big white van and 3-year supply of candy so he could lure kids to their death. Y'all are acting like it. The only reason you all take such an offense to what Ryan does is because you know you all can reach him and affect him, and he may see what you say, and you may hurt him. You go after him with a punitive mindset. There's no factual evidence that anything ever occurred, and absolutely no reason that he would be responsible if it did. But he's the only person that you can hurt. And that's why if you were truly appalled and concerned for the kids, you'd be going after Boozy. But because you just want to air your grievances and have your hurt little butt shine for all the world to see, you go to Ryan. You have unrealistic expectations. I used to supervise sex offenders and murderers for the state of Tennessee. Believe me when I tell you that what he said during that interview, as horrible and tacky and tasteless as it is, most likely not true. Most likely him just saying, hey, I'm swinging the biggest pair on the block. Look what I can do. Do you know what, when men start doing that stuff like that, strutting like a banjo rooster, it normally means they're lying. It normally means they're just trying to put on a show. You know, they have to gesticulate. They have to present as the biggest, toughest animal that's done the most heinous and atrocious things because they're the big man on the block. You know, sadly, it's just a very foul human trait that has just stuck with us. Because physical contact and sexual reproduction is how we make the world go round. But you would rather be offended that someone you adore should have known about this, even though you didn't know about it until the other day. But somehow he should magically have mustered up this knowledge and called in the SWAT team, the U.S. Marshals, and every other jurisdiction that you think can actually work together. They can't. And broke down the door and hauled this man off and put him on a cross. Please read up on your justice system. Go read about your state's annotated code. Read the laws in your state. Read the sex offense registry and their laws, what they have to do when they're supervised or when they're accountable to the county sheriff and they have to register. Educate yourself so that you don't go blindly out in the world thinking that your moral compass is the moral compass and you get to pout at everything, because it's really an unattractive trait. And it's not going to get you very far as an adult. They're going to shut doors in your face and go, we're not dealing with you. If you are so sensitive that you cannot navigate the society in which you live, you need to go and see someone because you have a problem. Most people would look at this and logically go, well, that was an idiot saying something like that. That had to be bravado. He wouldn't have said, if it was true, he wouldn't have said it out loud. So most of us know it was just him being an absolute dick. But for some reason, you all really want to believe it's true so that you can hold Ryan to the fire. So do you really want children to have been abused so that you're right and can hold Ryan to the fire? Or would you rather check into it and know that he probably just gave a really horrendous interview where he used a shock and awe statement that wasn't true because he's big pimping and he's a rap star back in the day and that's how they rolled? And that you don't need to worry about it? And that the only thing Ryan put on his record was his musicality, not his life story or his ambitions to abuse children all over the world. Because apparently that's what y'all think happens now. But yeah, you all really need to start learning to discern and understand the consequences for behaviors. Because the same unrealistic expectations and the same games that Heavy Duty's played, y'all are playing now. And he only did that to get the ball rolling so that he could put you in that mind state where you would become upset over something that nobody but Boozy can control. and you would take your red inflamed baboon butt that's hurt all the time to Ryan and say, change this. I believe you control everything in the world. You're the biggest person I know, so make it right. And Ryan's like, dude, I can't. I have nothing to do with that. I just featured a little bit of his musicality. Well, if you support him, you support that. Well, that's a leftist tactic. When did we become leftists? When did we... What happened? 6 months ago, we'd be like, oh, well, they try to create a link of causality so that they can go through 17 links of causality to say that you caused that. Even though it took 17 pit stops before it got there. But you caused that. Isn't that stupid how they do that? You see how that's stupid. And now y'all are doing it. Y'all don't even understand you're doing it. It's just absolutely crazy. Do you know that if a woman had spent one weekend with a man and then left the state thinking that she owned him, that he was absolutely supposed to be loyal to her, and that the moment she called, he should drop everything and come to her beck and call, you would go, that bitch is crazy. She only got to spend a few days with him, and she thinks that they have this kind of bond, and she's already making plans for the future for him to come and make her life better and use his skills and talents to set her up. She's using him. That bitch is crazy. But you see Heavy Duty Country doing it, and you're like, he has a valid claim. No, he doesn't. They spent time together, thought they were going to have a friendship. Obviously, even though Ryan was nice and helped him out, got him a 50% off, deal with the producer. All he had to do was come up with 5 songs and pay the producer to produce them. He didn't do it. Came up with 4, I think. Ryan did not sign the contract. Ryan was not mentioned in the contract. Ryan was not part of the contract. Ryan was very excited if he wanted to get into the music world that he had the outlet to do so now, and he got to do it cheaper than normal. That was the nicest thing he thought he could do for this new guy. But apparently they didn't pursue the friendship, because once he left, it was kind of out of sight, out of mind for Ryan, which happens. Ryan and I have spoken. He knows who I am. When he sees me on Instagram or YouTube, he's like, hey, Mama Liz. I get buried in his messages for months at a time. I have to come on here and go, yo, check your messages if I have something important to say. Do I hold it against the boy? No. He has probably 50,000 people try to message him a day. He probably goes through 14 phones a year because of all the crap people do to him. He's not obligated to remember me. He's not obligated to speak to me. He's very kind and sweet when he does. He's not obligated, and I certainly wouldn't be mad if he stopped. He's got other crap on his plate. His priority should be Bethany, his family, and his music career. In that order. So why do fans think that they should dictate everything about him and call him out on something he can't control and ask him to be aware of something he couldn't have known, and then hold him to the flame as if this was a factual thing when there's no proof, there's no investigation, there's no charges, there's no court documents. You just want it to be true, not so that you can go after Boozy, but so that you go after Ryan. Misplaced energy. Why would you not go after the person that was the abuser? Because you're not going to get your fix that way. Your fix is power. So you're going to go to the person that you know will read your comments and interact with you because he's kind. And you're going to try to hurt him because he's accessible. Look at why you do these things. Ask yourself why you do these things. Yeah, take it up a Boozy. He's the butthead that said it. If it is true, then investigate him and send the cops a tip. If you think it's true, do that. You're not inclined to do that because you don't think it's your place? Oh, but it's your place to come online and berate Ron and attack him and question his moral judgment and character. I question yours because you hear someone say something very outlandish during an interview that you don't know if it's factual, you don't know if it's true, you can't prove it, but you will take that and run with it and create harm for someone else because it suits you on that day. So who really is the evil one in the scenario? Think about it. Yeah, and he mentioned him. He only mentioned McDonald and Calhoun because they had a song out, and he only mentioned Ryan because he only timed it right now because Ryan dropped the album. He is absolutely an opportunist. He's a master manipulator, and he is emotionally manipulating you all. He didn't have to verify or prove anything. He just had to cast a seed of doubt, and he knew that idiots would pick up that little mustard seed of doubt and create a whole big issue. And guess what? Y'all did it. Y'all did it. And when I tell you all that you're being led by your nose because you are emotionally reacting, you all go, no, I'm not. I'm not emotionally reacting. Yes, you are. Eyebrows down, voice down. You're emotionally reacting. Because you've taken too many wrong forks in the road for this to have been about the safety of the children, and you're concerned that there was actual abuse. You would be on the phone with authorities in that area and already have scoped out Boozy, figured out how old the kids are now, where he lives, when that timeline was, the proof of the interview, and called the cops. If you thought it was actually valid, that's what you would be doing right now. But what are you doing? You're on the internet leaving hella long responses to Ryan Upchurch's video because you want to hurt him and let him know that you expect more of him. If there were children being harmed and you believed it, you should be going after Boozy and reporting it. The reason that you went straight to tag Ryan tells me that your motivation is to exert dominance and control and power and feel good about yourself because this musical artist will read your comments and will feel bad because he has a heart. And you get to feel like Captain America because you think you've done something morally right, when actually all you did was serve yourself and your own ego, because the kids are still hanging in the balance if you believe that's true. So tell me again, who's doing the wrong thing? If you believe it and you're still avoiding it, you're doing the absolute wrong thing. I don't believe it. I think Boozy was just being a loudmouth butthole and said the most vulgar thing he could because back in the day, that's how they rolled. But for all of you young ladies that go in your car and scream Cardi B at the top of your lungs to where toddlers in the van next door hear you, explicitly tell them about sexual behaviors and actions, are you abusing children? We don't want to talk about that. You didn't write the song, you're just singing it. You didn't know any better. You have all these justifications and normalizations, but no one else can have those. Because when you feel correct in your moral compass, you are sitting next to Jesus and God and casting down the fire. And I'm like, are y'all looking at what you're doing? Are you really looking at what you're doing? Do you see that the trail you left when you found that information, had you believed it, the trail you left says that I don't believe it, but I'm going to go to where I can get my rocks off the fastest. And that's going to be irritating Ryan Upchurch because I know he's accessible. How many of you have sent a message to Boozy? How many of you have sent an anonymous tip to a sheriff's department where they lived at the time? No one? No? No, we want to use the information to serve ourselves. We just want to serve ourselves. And the only reason that you're entwining Ron in it is because that's the thing to do now. It's the hot ticket item. And you're going to flip. You're going to flip just as quick as a brim on a riverbank. You're going to flip and support someone else for 5 seconds because your moral compass spins for most of the time. You have no delineation. It pretty much just spins. Whatever suits you becomes the morality that day. And then we place unrealistic expectations on other people. And we think we're better than everyone else. I counsel people like this. I have counseled people that have been abused, that have been through heinous forms of abuse, that should have died from the abuse that they received. I have both juvenile and adult I've dealt with some really big crap in my day. It's not like I'm just sitting here having diarrhea of the mouth. I'm a retired parole officer, retired counselor, and I specifically worked with kids that had drug addiction due to trauma backgrounds. Not pulling crap out of my butt. But I have huge questions as if what he said is truthful. I believe he was just trying to shock and awe. But the fact that there's been no investigation, no concrete evidence, no proof, no nothing means I have nothing to go on. And therefore, I cannot take an expectation to cut this man out of your life because he's a criminal and he's an abuser. Oh, I have no proof. I just really believe it, so you need to not have anything to do with him. And I question your morality because you had him in a song. Even though you had him in the song months before you probably knew any of this existed and you had no idea. And you were just trying to display his musical skills, I'm still going to hold you responsible for putting an abuser in your music, even though I know you didn't know about it. But I know about it now, so I'm going to hold you accountable. It's like, whoo, stop, hello, that's a kiss your butt curve. We just keep doing this. So start to question yourself. Start to go, why am I taking this behavior? Why am I choosing to do this? Why am I taking the fight to this person? Is someone else the person that should be held accountable? Is this something I need to just not even avoid? Or not even be part of, just avoid? But I'm here to tell you that Heavy Duty Country did what he wanted to do. He placed that little seed of doubt so that the people that flip-flop, the people that are led by their emotions, the people that can flip and choose to put someone into a punitive relationship because of something they believe that they can't prove, but they believe, and apparently they're Jesus and get to hand down, the discipline. All he had to do was just plant that seed of doubt and use the right keywords to trigger, and he did it. And just like the heifers at the gate in the morning, y'all took off. And you're causing all kinds of crap. All kinds of crap. With no proof. Just an inkling. This man says something really horrible and he might not be a good person. I have no proof. There's no investigation. There's no court documents. There's no convictions. And I'm not brave enough to look into it and actually report anything to the cops so that they look into it because I don't know if it's true or not. But I'm going to go to Ryan Upchurch and I'm going to say it is true and you should have known this. Why? Why is he supposed to know these things when you have no idea? Well, he's a star. He should know all this. Really? Really? I don't think he has, telepathy. I'm pretty sure that he knows things in the same way that we know things. We see them. We run across them online. We read them in newspapers. I'm pretty sure if we all didn't know about it, he probably didn't know about it either. Especially if it happened more than a few years ago, because stuff just didn't travel like it travels now. So I'm going to ask each and every one of you all, before you start screaming at someone and putting unrealistic expectations and taking signs and casting people into the lake of fire and brimstone because they're damned to hell, take a moment and go, boy, I really switched emotions in 24 hours rather quickly and suddenly and kind of scarily. Why? Why did I react to that video that way? What did he say that triggered me? Was it the words that triggered me? Or was it the words used in correlation with Ron? Because half the things that HDC talked about in his video had nothing to do with Ron. Ron doesn't support BLM. The fact that Boozy's black and may support BLM has nothing to do with Ron. Ron can't interfere with what Boozy believes and wants to support. He has no control over that. So how is it his fault if Boozy is a BLM supporter? It doesn't make Ron a BLM supporter. It just means that Ron knows somebody who may be a BLM supporter. I bet you know somebody who may be a BLM supporter. Oh my God, you're a BLM supporter. Think about these things. Ron had nothing to do with his contract. That was an adult decision made by Dan. It was a bad one. He lost money. Didn't have the talent he thought he had. Wanted to pawn it off as somebody else's project. It wasn't. It was his. It's his responsibility. It's his contract. Should be his music career. Should be his work. He's mad because Upchurch inspired him and made him believe in himself to where he took a venture. He should have calmed down for 5 minutes and thought, gee, do I have, the the gutzpah to make this happen, I might ought to think about it for a few days and not make a decision when I'm amped up on endorphins and with somebody that's really inspirational and has done this crap. Because I might be swept up in the endorphins and think it's just too easy right now. I probably need to think about it for a few days. That's a lot of money. Did he do that? No. He entered into a contract when he was high on endorphins and in very much an environment that was not realistic to what he was going to be in when he was actually fulfilling the obligations of the contract. Should have thought about that. It's called cognition. How you think. You can't correct it, but you have to be aware of the mistakes that you make in your cognition. The biggest mistake that I see is people trying to think that Ryan Upchurch has any control over BLM, over the contract that Dan signed, over Boozy and what he may or may have not said in his past, or what he may or may not have done in his past. The belief that having someone as a featured artist means you support everything about them, especially the bad things that you didn't know. Because everybody thinks you subconsciously knew them when you didn't. All he did was plant that seed of doubt, trigger you with a few words that he's learned from the left. He laid the same trap that the left lays. He created doubt, netted you out to link into these organizations that are really leave a bad taste in people's mouth, insinuated you may be part of them or you may support them in some way to make you questionable in the eyes of other people, and then stated that you may also have been part of someone abusing their children, even though you could not have known about that. That was way long time ago. And who would really know about that except for the man that gave the interview and the guy that asked the questions? But he let that seed of doubt. And you all were like, the people that really like to follow breadcrumb trails, you were like, oh yeah, no, he could have. That's possible. I mean, I didn't know it. And I'm always on the internet and always in the music. I didn't know it. But Ryan Shirley, he should have known it because he's special. He's famous. He's in the music industry. He should have seen that. Is he superhuman? Does he have and does he spend more time on the internet than most people? Does he have radar for bad news about artists that he should not use in his ventures? Unrealistic expectations. But the damage has now been done because now everybody's went and attacked Ron and saying he's questionable, of questionable character. You're concerned that he's supporting people that are abusive. I mean, y'all really just jumped. I mean, harder, longer than a Katie did. I mean, y'all just jumped because y'all really wanted to make that connection. Not so that you could go and make sure that the kids were taken care of, investigated, and Boozy was taken to justice if necessary. No, you don't feel obligated or right doing that, even though you say you're concerned about the children and what may have happened. No, your action to correct all of this and to save the children from abuse that you think they may have suffered is to go to the country singer that gave him a few seconds on a song and obviously supported him and made that man think he could still abuse children. I mean, it's been all news to us because nobody knew anything of this. And I personally think it's a bunch of crap. But anyway, think of what you're doing. Try to trace your steps and look at it from different perspectives. Try to look at it from outside of yourself and say, what does this look like to other people? Am I making a good decision? Do I need to perhaps go talk to somebody about this before I go and attack somebody about this? Should I seek to be wise about this scenario before I seek to be right? Should I maybe go and look up sex offender charges by state because they're different in all states? Look for any kind of court paperwork. Was Boozy ever in court? Was there ever anything that he had to go through the justice system about this? Y'all completely flew over all of that and went straight to hate mongering and attack and being the moral compass of the world. We are the world. I am the only right person. You have to kiss my ass and believe everything that I believe. I mean, really. Y'all already had yourself on the top step getting an award for Humanitarian of the Year. But you attacked Ron Upchurch, who had nothing to do with any of this. And when it came to, if you believed it, reporting, investigating, and getting information to the cops, oh no, we're not going to do that. I don't know if that really happened. You want to put me in a place like that, a position like that? No. I mean, that could be falsifying a claim, falsifying a charge. You don't want to do those things. If I lie and I say that I know this, I get in trouble. I don't know if it really happened. I don't know if it really happened. I just know he gave an interview and he said horrible things. I don't know if they're true. So don't put that off of me. I'm not going to call and do that. I don't know if it really happened. I don't know. But now, I'm going to go and tell Ron that I think he's a horrible person. And his morality is questionable now. And I don't know if I can listen to his music. And he needs to apologize. I mean, he's the artist, and he makes all the music that helps me through my bad days. And he's been a big inspiration to me. And he's helped so many people, and I've seen him put smiles on so many faces. But I really think if I start to hate him and put really nasty comments, that he'll respond to me. And then it's like he might know me. Like, it's like he knows me. And that would be kind of awesome. Even if he hated me, it would still be he knew who I was. So, just let me do this. It serves my ego. It satisfies myself. I mean, that's what the world's about, right? Satisfying yourself. Nobody will know. Everybody else is mad too. Shh. So, question yourself. Have a talk with yourself. Do you believe you need to be doing some investigation and contacting some authority and saying you need to go check on these kids, or you need to go ask these kids about their childhood and see if this occurs so that you can prosecute somebody who may have been a child abuser? No? Well, shut up. Stop causing other people grief over something you really don't believe because you're not following through with it as a person who believed it. You're not protecting those kids. You're not trying to rectify anything. You're just trying to stir up crap. And I try to be like somebody that tries to, like, okay, be rational, be logical, calm down, think. Y'all, the last few days, if y'all are this easily swayed, if y'all were a donkey, I wouldn't even have to put a carrot on a stick. I mean, that's how easy you are to be led. Go and read what the word discernment means. Try to create that in your world. Go and read the words rational, the definition for rational, and the definition for logic. Try to always create those in your world before you take any action. And if you feel you have to attack somebody, why do you feel you need to attack them? Is that going to make you feel better? Why is it going to make you feel better? What are other options that will make you feel better? Why are you not going with them first? Why are you choosing to satisfy an urge, an impulse that is negative before seeking a positive resolution? Are you trained that way? Have you trained yourself that way? Do you need to retrain yourself? It's completely possible. Is someone taking advantage of you because you are trained that way and you're easily manipulated? Could this potentially be a bigger problem for you as you go farther into adulthood? Do you need to correct it now? I'm trying to help you all understand your cognition, how you make your decisions, perhaps the impairment that you incorporate when it doesn't need to be there. You infer a lot of data that is not correct. You make a lot of leaps that are not logical. Rather than standing on solid, firm facts and evidence, or stating I can't make a move because I don't know anything factual to make a move to, so I have to stay here and wait, and I have to pay attention. I have to keep my eyes open, but I can't make a judgment call at this time. I don't have enough information. Wouldn't that be a much more rational thing to do instead of jumping and getting emotionally tied up in these big tirades? And when people try to explain to you what you're doing, you just end up snapping. Wouldn't it be nice to go through the world and just go, I'm responsible for me. That's it. That person over there might be a bad person, and he might be doing horrible things, and he might not treat people the best. So, I'm not going to put my energy there, and I can take care of me. I control me. That's it. Wouldn't it be nice to go through life and just know simply, without a doubt, the only person that you can control is yourself. And so all the exertion and the energy you put out to try to corral and wrestle and demean and trigger other people is useless. It benefits no one. It does nothing. So why do you do it? What need are you meeting? What emotion are you creating to satisfy yourself? Why do you go there? Why do you need that? What created that? Once you figure out what created it, undo it. Reward yourself in an appropriate way. When you start to go there and you catch yourself starting to go there, talk yourself down. And then reward yourself for not going there. You will retrain yourself to calm down and think and make a rational decision. Make a lateral move, not a forward, full steam move. Oh, it's just been, I'm just so irritated with Creek Squad. I'm just so irritated with Creek Squad. They have, Ryan did a video and they immediately started attacking him, saying that he's basically responsible and basically co-facilitated and perpetuated the abuse that Busey was doing to his kids. We don't know if it's true, if it happened, if it was just something he was saying to be a giant turd. But instead of them being concerned for the kids and looking into Busey and going to Busey or going to law enforcement saying you need to be aware of this if they believe it to be true, they wrapped up their emotions and marched straight to Brian and unloaded. Even though he can't change any of that, and he probably didn't even know it existed. He has no control over Busey or Busey's home or Busey's children's environment. But they packed it up and they took it to Ron. And this is all because all of this is a perpetuation of the energy that was created by Heavy Duty Country the other day. This is why he did this. He laid that little seed of doubt there, and then he did trigger words, and he did social justice trigger words, and then he questioned your morality if you don't carry the flame for him. And off y'all marched like little ants, fixing to go and screw some crap up. When people give me information and then expect me to respond emotionally, I go, give me a minute. I'm gonna need to look into this. Because I get what you're showing me, but I don't know why you're showing it to me and what you think I can do about it. So I'm going to sit down and read this again. Wonder how I am meshed in with this in your brain. And then I'm going to come up with a different plan to take care of whatever issue you're dealing with that doesn't involve me, because I don't think I need to be involved. But I'll help you brainstorm and find conflict resolution, but you're going to be the one facilitated, because that's not my job. Have y'all ever had anybody talk to you like that? No, it shows. It shows. When somebody says, I really want you mad. Well, if you really want me mad, you want me angry. People that are angry have the least amount of control over their behavior. So if you want me angry, you want me out of control. What do you want me out of control for? What do you want me to react to? And why do you think that you can control my reaction if you trigger me? And would a good person do that to me and put me in that position? Probably not. You do know that people make you feel the way that they feel. So when Dan went online and made you all feel confused and wondering where Ryan's loyalty was, it's because Dan was confused and wondered where Ryan's loyalty was. Do you want to know why Dan was confused? Because he didn't understand when only his name was on that contract. It was only his contract. And it was only his obligation to fulfill. It wasn't Ryan's. In his mind, he had placed an unhealthy expectation that Ryan was going to help co-facilitate this production of these songs. Not so. He really thought that he had someone that was going to help him through that entire process and basically do it for him. Not so. So when things didn't work out the way that he saw them in his head, he didn't ask Ron, hey, how did you see this in your head? Because I think we had a misunderstanding. And we might need to talk about it because now I'm lost. I bet you Ron would talk to him then. But instead of going at him saying, you're responsible, you will pay me, you will help me. That's no. Walk up and smack a mule and see if it is nice to you. If an animal responds that way, Why would a human do anything different? I mean, let's think about it. Sometimes the simplest form of reaction is the most honest. So when Dan did not have his expectations met the way he thought in his head that they were going to go, he felt like he had no loyalty. And he was being disrespected. So he created a scenario where you all had to question the loyalty of Ron, question his morality, and question what he was bringing to you all. And so you all walked off, took the bait, and ran with it. And now you're sitting there going, I feel like I don't know if Ryan's a very good person, and if he's really like loyal to his fan base, or he's a good, and if he maybe caused some of this, I don't know. Why am I feeling this way? Because someone created the dynamic for you to pack that away, and you were not smart enough to realize that's what they were doing. When you have a big emotional response, or you talk to somebody that's very upset, and you have a very distinct feeling, people will always make you feel the way that they feel when they're frustrated. So, like if Dan was a jealous woman, and he didn't like it that Ryan was not giving him attention, then he would have created a scenario where you all wanted his attention but couldn't get his attention, and you all felt very terrified that you were not in a relationship that you thought you were in. You were not getting the attention. You were afraid it was going to fall apart, and you were concerned and jealous and envious and wondering what is this going to fall apart beneath me. I don't know what's going on, because that's how the jealous woman would have felt. People always make you feel the way that they feel. Kids, when they throw a tantrum, how do parents feel? They feel powerless, because they're like, I don't know how to fix this kid. It's just screaming, crying. I don't know what's wrong with it. Kids do that because normally in the home dynamic they have, they don't know how to communicate effectively because the parent has not worked on communication. So the kid feels powerless because they can't communicate with the parent. So when it comes time to really portray something to the parent and communicate, they go, the only thing I know how to do is to make you feel how I'm feeling, so I'm going to throw a shit fit and make you feel powerless, because that's how I feel. You got a girlfriend that you think is a really good girlfriend, but every time you go out, she's side-eyeing you and mad at you because you look better than her, you're dressed better than her, you have access to more options when it comes to clothes and jewelry, and she feels very much beneath you. It takes two to create that environment. And even though you may not be aware of why she's feeling it, you have to go, okay, well, that's how she feels. So I'm doing something to bring that out. What am I doing? And it may be as simple as turning and going, oh, well, when we got together today, I offered two of my friends to go through my closet and pick a dress, but she already had one, so I didn't offer it to her because I thought she was satisfied with the dress she had. Perhaps I should have allowed her in my closet to borrow a dress as well, and she would have felt as though she was part of the group and I didn't ostracize her, and now she feels as though she's lesser than all of us, and she's jealous and upset and irritated, and I completely feel that. I need to go talk to her. Because chances are you go over and go, hey, I've noticed that you're not very happy with me tonight, and I can't help but maybe think it's because I let the other girls raid my closet for dresses. I didn't think you needed to because you'd already shopped, but if you weren't happy with your dress, I would have let you borrow one of mine. I just need you to tell me these things, and if you ever need anything, I just need you to verbalize and tell me that, and I'll try to help you. She would probably go, yeah, it hurt to watch them get pretty new dresses and I have a second-hand one. I thought maybe you didn't like me as much as you liked them. No, it was a misunderstanding, which is most of the time what bad communication is misunderstanding. People will always make you feel the way that they felt. So if you start having these huge mood swings and you start reacting in a strange way, sit down and go, why am I doing this? Why are they creating this feeling? How do I feel? Okay, write it down. Have I done something to make them feel this way? What was the last interaction we had? What did I do? Let's talk about this. Let's resolve this. Because I don't want anybody to feel this way when they're around me. Communication is not just saying what you think is important and leaving the rest out. Communication is really speaking to someone, really hearing them, really wanting to hear what's going on in their internal dialogue that they're too scared to say. Communication is really an overwhelming process that shows love and compassion. Because to communicate effectively, you have to care about somebody. That's why the people that use these little tactics, that's why they're normally not good communicators in life. They've never learned how to communicate effectively. They've learned how to communicate, to manipulate, so it's effective for them. They don't care if it's effective for everyone else. It's just effective for them. And that's why we all sit here today bumfuzzled, because everybody's going every which way like a chicken with their head cut off, but nobody has really any factual evidence or any grounded reason to be upset. They just feel lost or questioning loyalty and a little jilted. And it's because that's how Dan felt, and that's what he portrayed, and that's what he created. So Dan, if you're watching this, I'm sorry you felt that someone was not being loyal to you. Do you think one weekend of spending time with someone is enough to expect complete loyalty from someone? If you do, there are bigger issues we need to discuss. 3 days, 72 to 96 hours does not a concrete bond make. So if you bond with people that quickly and you place them in such a position of high regard and high visibility in your life, stop doing that. The people that you just met and spent that amount, they don't deserve that. They should be down here. Only the people that you trust completely should be up here. So stop making bad decisions about who to put in positions of power over you. When people say, hey brother, I'll help you when I can, make sure you ask to clarify what that looks like for them. Because what it looks like for you may not be what it looks like for them. And let me tell you what, down the road you will want this clarified, so do it now. That way you both go into whatever you're going into with a clear idea of what, hey brother, I'll help you when I can, looks like. And there will be no question or blow up later because you both have the same expectation. You all have discussed it. And then before you try to go and blow up someone's world to satisfy that little black spot in your heart because things aren't fair, ask yourself, why? Why should I go to the worst reaction possible when I'm trying to hold this man accountable for his bad behavior? Should I not also hold myself accountable for potential bad behavior? Should I not find a better way to resolve this? If I don't want him to go to that black spot in his heart, I potentially should not go to the black spot in my heart. Let's find a better way to resolve this. It really would have been that easy. It really would have been all about how you spoke to Ron when you called him, your word choice. Instead of, I've got 3 days, which one works for you? What, you're not going to help me? You asshole! You know, and I assume that's probably how it went because you're a man of very few words. Instead of that, if you had called and said, hey, you may not remember me, but you flew me out to Tennessee and we had a big weekend. Yeah, I do the political opinion pieces. Yeah. You remember I got all excited about seeing the music world and you was like, brother, you can do this. If I can do this, anybody can do this. I can get you, if you're really interested, I can get you a really good deal on production team. I really appreciate that you put your neck out there and got me that really good deal. I'm struggling. And I think, I know that you're busy and I know that you offered help, and I know that you're also busy, but I'm calling to say that I'm really lost and I really want to make this happen, but I acknowledge that I'm going to need more help than I thought I would need. And I know you're busy, but if you can't help me, could you link me up with someone that you trust that could help me, that could coach me, guide me, help me with the bars, help me with the rhythmic pattern, help me learn how to do some emphasis within the music and make some bridges. And I'm lost, brother. And you really inspired me. I really want to make this happen, but I think I'm going to need more guidance because I've just not got this on my own. I bet you Brian would have said, yeah, no, I remember feeling like that. Yeah, let me see. I'm pretty busy and I've had a lot pop up here in the last little bit. But let me see. I bet you've got a few friends that are really great, and I bet you that they could either Zoom or do a call or a FaceTime and help you out. Let me see what I can do. And if you haven't heard from me by noon tomorrow, call me back. And I'm on this. I bet you it would have gone that easy, because Upchurch is just really a helpful person. Look at all the careers he's helped spark and all the things he's done to help people. He's just really a good person. He's not going to go to the most hateful, rhetoric and response possible without being provoked. So I probably think that in your mind you thought all was hunky-dory, that the moment you said you had studio time booked, he was just going to show up and y'all were going to hammer this out. No, it should have been something you were working on from the moment you went back to Texas, and that you were keeping in contact every other day. Because when you go off the radar, when you blip off the radar in Ryan's world, out of sight, out of mind, that's how his brain functions. I understand it. I've dealt with kids that are ADHD and they become ADHD adults, and sadly some things stick, and out of sight, out of mind is a big one for ADHD adults. It doesn't mean they're impaired, it just means their brain functions differently. It prioritizes what is in its vision field. So it would have been that easy. Like, for some reason you chose to feel that someone had just absolutely disrespected you. And I don't think that's what it was at all. I think it was just a big misunderstanding. Yeah, so rather than look like a failure, Sherry, rather than look like a failure and admit defeat and state that he couldn't do this on his own, it was, well, this to make this not my problem, I'm going to say that he made it seem like it was going to be a team effort. It's not a team effort. This is not something I can do on my own. I had my mom and he was going to be helping me. But if you're not going to come through on your end of the deal, then you need to pay me back for inspiring me to do this. And I just think that's cheesy as crap. That's like me telling Jenny Craig that I'm sorry, but those last 10 months of me trying to lose weight, it's just not something I can do. You inspired me to try, but I think that you just really leaned way too much in there and did not emphasize that I was going to be the person to have to not put things in my mouth. So I think that you need to pay me back, Jenny. Jenny still has my money. And I'm still fat, so you can imagine how that went. But that would have been the same thing as me going into Jenny Craig and saying I want my money back. There are better ways to handle these things. He didn't have to create what he created. And beware, people that enjoy creating these things, or their first response to a conflict is to create these types of huge issues, they don't have people's best interest at heart. Not at all. And while what they do on a daily that is scripted may come across as responsible and honest, is scripted. They take time to plan that out. His presentation behavior and even the ha 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 laughs. When he's handling people on the fly and he's in the real world, in real time handling people, it seems that this is consistent for him because he's had beefs with so many people. I would like to think that he would realize that the common denominator here is him, and that he may need to retrain how he responds to things, especially things that he sees as conflict or turmoil or a dig. He's going to have to learn how to start responding to difficult things better, so that he's not constantly in conflict, in turmoil. Because even though it probably satisfies him in the moment, it can't be a good life. It can't be nice to constantly have to berate, demean, and slowly annihilate your friend group to save face. Wouldn't it be much better to learn how to communicate? Learn the reason why you're always struggling to save face. Learn how to correct that. Have better bonds with your friends. Have better communication skills. Understand what a dialogue is instead of an attack and a roast. And just live in a better emotional place. Wouldn't that be nice? I mean, I would think that he would want that. Because it can't be easy living in what he's creating. But he's creating it. I don't feel sorry for him. I just know that he deserves a better existence. Whether he thinks he does or not, he deserves a better existence. But I can't create that for him. He has to want to create it for himself. And there are things that Ron does that absolutely irritate the hell out of me. Y'all have no idea. And I'm momming the boy to death. And I tell him I tell him, like the flaming hot Cheetos and stuff. I tell him when he does these things and I see repetitious behavior and he's constantly wondering why he's dealing with this. And I'm like, it's because you're constantly putting your foot there. It's because you're constantly gravitating toward that. It's because you're constantly thinking it's a priority when it's not. And I tell him these things. And sometimes he listens and sometimes he doesn't. When he does listen, he normally hearts my responses and says thanks. I'm not easy on him. I have super high expectations for the young man. And so when I see somebody that has such a masterful skill be stupid, I'm like, da-ding, da-ding, da-ding. And I do. I get on to him. I'm not like never going to say anything questionable to him, because I'm like, excuse me. Like when he got really upset with the sex offender without understanding the world they live in and have to navigate as an offender and how difficult that is, and that many of them have to take those low-level menial jobs because they can't work anywhere else, and they're just trying to survive. And sometimes we need to not be upset and take a step back and go, it really does irritate me. I don't like this, but I also understand that I don't dictate society. And I'm going to have to make peace with this, because I can't be screaming at the internet every day about something I can't control and change. So he had to make peace with that. He had to learn a way around that so he could go on. I'm not like super easy on the boy. I'm actually super hard on the boy because I see what he can be and what he's set to become. And I want to keep him on task. So I'm not like super easy on anybody. And I don't sugarcoat stuff when I talk to him. He reminds me so much of my son that when I talk to him, it comes out in a mumble blurb whether I want it to or not, because it almost feels like I'm responding to my own child. Because they're very close in age, and they look very similar, they're shaped very similar, and they act very similar. So that's why he gets the mama vibe from me. And I'm not giving anybody an easy road to hoe. But as fans, you all need to become aware of the power that you have to ruin lives. Do not think you're just this little participant out here hanging in the wind, that you don't matter. You are a big part of this dynamic that affects so many people. Other fans, other cities when you travel to go and see shows, other artists. You create a web. And there's a ripple effect when something bad happens, and you hurt more than just yourself, or you hurt more than just Ryan, or you hurt more than whoever you're aiming at. And wouldn't it be nice if we could find a better way to communicate? That we wouldn't go to the first negative place, stick with it, run with it, because all we know is to double down. Wouldn't it be nice if we said, hey, I have this issue, I have this concern, I have this question, I need some answers, we need to maybe talk about this as a group. Is anybody else feeling this? And get it out there. Don't wait until you're so mad you have to fling poo. Get it out there. But that's where I am this morning. I've got other crap I've got to do. But y'all, I want to be proud of Creek Squad. 99.9% of the time I am. But this morning I am not. And I am the unofficial Creek Squad counselor. I'm here to tell you, you all are being manipulated. You are being led by the nose, by your emotions, by a master manipulator who has learned to do this because he never quite conquered his emotions either. Please do not get caught up in this. Please take a step back and look at it from at least 4 different perspectives. And, I mean, you can scream not me all the time, but listen, in my line of work, whether you think you are or are not being manipulated, you are in some way, somehow being manipulated. You can't live in society and not in some way be manipulated. All I'm saying is be aware. Question everything. Ask yourself why you go to certain behaviors, and try to go to positive behaviors before you go to negative behaviors. You have a son that's, yeah. And it's not that there's nothing wrong with his brain. It actually works in a very miraculous way. It actually works in a very high functioning, it's firing off every second. It's actually very interesting and very complex, and can be very rewarding if he learns to navigate that, and he learns to understand how his brain, clicking to so many channels in so many different ways so quickly, how he can learn to harness that, understand it, and use it or set it aside when he doesn't need to let it distract him. And that comes from practice. It comes from having lots of really great people on your team to help you learn your impulses, your urges, your learning skill, what triggers you to pay attention or to be distracted, and they learn all about how your brain works and how the neural pathways and synapses works, and then you learn how to really track your behavior in real time so that you can start to train yourself and how you learn, the pattern in which you learn, the things you learn the best, the things you need to save to acquire your time. It's really quite amazing how those high functioning brains work. For a long time, people said they were brains that were having issues. There were brains that were diminished capacity. Not true. There are high functioning, very like Einstein, Edison. All these people were probably ADD or ADHD. So it's a very prominent creative trait, and it's really a miracle maker if these kids learn to harness that power and use it and kind of lean into it rather than fight it their whole life. So if you don't have an educational team, an individual education plan, you don't have a tutor, you don't have a therapist, these are things you probably need to be thinking about bringing into that child's life, because it really does take a village, because their brain is going so quickly it really takes 6 or 7 other brains to keep up with them. But I will tell you that if they learn how to harness that power and understand it, magical things happen. Magical things happen. So never discredit somebody because they have a diagnosis. That diagnosis is there for billing purposes and medical treatment purposes. It's just there so we can create an alleyway to flow the information and people to you. That's all it is. It doesn't mean anything else than that. It's just for us to categorize and create a funnel of information, education, and people to help. So don't think it's a deficit. It's a positive. Believe me, you will be amazed at what their brains can come up with. So, I mean, there's just, I kind of get up and I get frustrated with people that always go to the most horrible things. Because there's so many things in the world to be positive about. There's so many things to be happy about. There's so many things that are going right. That to focus on that one little burr underneath your saddle pad, deal with it and then go on with your day. But don't focus on it. Don't focus on it until you make a mountain of a molehill. There's so many better ways to handle things. And I just think that this morning's behavior online was a complete epic fail. And that if you go back and you look at people wanting to immediately jump and assign the moral guilt, the moral shame, and basically all of the responsibility to Upchurch, it's just like they were putting it there because it's the only place they knew that they could put it. That's not right. Challenge yourself to learn how to handle things more effectively. Don't put it on somebody because you think they'll handle it and it's the safest place for you to put it. That's called offloading, off-putting. That's not fair to anyone. If you get into a scenario and you become part of it and you want to facilitate some kind of change, then you become part of it. You have to learn to communicate, establish yourself there, talk to everybody, brainstorm, come up with conflict resolution ideas. You become part of it. You don't just translate guilt or morality or shame. You become part of it. So you're going to make it better, you're going to make it worse. And that's what you do when you're going into those scenarios. You make it better, you make it worse. You don't simply pass the shame and the guilt and the responsibility back and forth. You make it better, you make it worse. Please make a choice to make it better. You will feel so much better about yourself. You will carry your head so much higher. And to Dan, if you're struggling with people, if you are repeatedly struggling with communication, dialogue skills, aggression, just friendship and communication in general, let somebody help you. Because you have a voice that is needed in the world. You have a sub-base that is very receptive to your political ideas and your political opinions. You obviously have found a niche where you belong and you're supposed to be doing these things. But you have so much power to do such great things to help the world be a better place. Don't put your power somewhere where it's just going to get lost in the shuffle and muddied and murkied and become questionable. And no, don't do that. Seek out people that can help you understand when you become frustrated and why you go into Destructo Mongo conflict. Welcome to Kong Island. My name is King Kong. Meet people that help you realize why you go there. Why that seems to be the avenue of resolution, even though no resolution ever comes. Why do you sub that out for resolution when it's merely conflict? It's not conflict resolution. Why do you do that? Who does it benefit? Does it benefit you? How does it benefit you? I'd be interested in knowing how all of this benefits you. Do you feel better? No? I mean, you lost a pretty good friend. You lost a pretty good helper. You lost somebody that you probably could count on when he had time. You know, he is kind of busy. You lost a whole support system of people that because he likes you, they will like you too. We're pretty receptive hillbillies around here. You lost a possible avenue of income. So why'd you do that? Start thinking about that. And then seek out somebody to help you make better decisions and to really understand what conflict resolution is instead of conflict. Because you're doing something that needs to be done and you're doing a until you muddy the water with that crap. So that's where I am. And when this loads, I will try to go back and live chat and watch the chats because I'm blind and can't read them all when they're going by. But I appreciate everybody that's come in and said your piece and said, and I'll read it and I may get good ideas and I may get options. You all may bring something, to me that I hadn't thought of that may create a whole other, positive option. So I'll read these when it loads and I can access the live chat. But I appreciate you spending time with me. And please, before you go to attack, take 5 minutes and think of 4 other things that you could do. And then if attack is still the primary to round out the 5, then make a plan of attack. But always know why you're attacking and why the other 4 options were not viable. So that when you get to a place where somebody asks why this occurred, why this happened, and why you made that choice, you know. You're not just saying you winged it. Start to understand your motive. Right. I'm going to go rest because I'm tired. I did not sleep last night. I will see you later.